My friends, through all my years of study in the markets, through booms, busts, wars, and peace, I have found one principle that has never failed me. Time is the true factor that governs all market movements. Prices may deceive, news may mislead, but time tells the truth. And within time lies a cycle so powerful, so consistent, that it has shaped the course of markets for generations, the hidden 60-year cycle. Now you may ask, what makes 60 years so important? Why not 50 or 70? The answer is simple, because nature itself moves in rhythms and repetitions. The earth revolves around the sun in exact periods, the tides rise and fall with precision, and the markets, being a reflection of human nature, move by the same law. Every 60 years, history repeats itself in new clothes. The same causes produce the same effects. The faces change, but the psychology remains the same. Have you ever noticed how every few generations, we see the same panic, the same boom, the same euphoria? That is not chance, it is law. When I first began to study this law of vibration, I found that every major turning point in the market could be traced back to a prior one of similar time period. Take any important high or low, project 60 years forward, and you will find a rhythm waiting to repeat. The panic of 1857, the collapse of 1929, 60 years apart. The depression lows of the 1890s and the lows of the 1950s, again 60 years. The pattern does not fail. It only hides itself from those unwilling to study it. Most traders seek the cause in news or policy. But I tell you, the cause is in time. You may say, but Gann, the market is different now. We have computers, algorithms, new rules. And I would answer, are human emotions any different? Is fear not still fear, and greed still greed? The tools may change, but the minds that use them do not. The same rhythm that ruled when ships carried cotton across the seas now rules when data flows across the world. The law of time has no regard for the inventions of man. It is eternal. I have watched traders lose fortunes because they did not understand that time governs price. They buy when the crowd buys, sell when the crowd sells, and always arrive too late. But those who study time, those who understand these great cycles, see what others cannot. They see the turning of the wheel before it turns. They prepare when others celebrate, and act when others freeze. Do you understand what advantage that gives you, my friend? To be on the right side of time is to have the market itself working in your favor. Let me tell you something else. The 60-year cycle is not just a financial measure. It is a reflection of human generations. About every 60 years, a new generation comes to power, unscarred by the last great panic, unaware of the lessons their fathers learned the hard way. They believe the old rules no longer apply. They think they've found a new way to make money. But the market is a stern teacher. It always repeats its lessons to those who forget. The same speculative fever, the same overconfidence, the same collapse. It all comes again. Do you see how this connects the rhythm of time with the rhythm of human ambition? I have found that when you align your trading with the rhythm of these long-term cycles, your path becomes clearer. You stop being tossed about by every small fluctuation. You begin to think like a master, not a gambler. Wealth, you see, is not made in the noise of the crowd, but in the silence of understanding. You must have the patience to wait for time to confirm your position. How many traders lose because they want quick profits? How many fail because they cannot wait for the right season? The market has seasons, just as the earth does. You cannot harvest in winter. You must plant in spring and harvest in autumn. When I studied the old charts of cotton, wheat, and stocks, I drew my lines not only in price but also in time. I counted the days, the weeks, and the years. I looked for repetition, for correspondences, for cycles that returned like clockwork. And there it was, the 60-year rhythm, pulsing quietly beneath every rise and fall. Even today, Though the names of companies have changed, the same pulse beats beneath the ticker tape. If you wish to build lasting wealth, you must train your mind to think in cycles, not in days. A small trader chases the tick. A wise trader studies the century. The 60-year cycle teaches us that markets, like life, move in waves, waves of creation and destruction, of optimism and despair. The trader who understands this does not fear the storm, for he knows that after every storm comes a calm. He does not waste his energy on panic, for he knows panic itself is part of the rhythm. Ask yourself this: are you trading in harmony with time, or are you fighting it? Most traders lose because they are out of phase with the cycle. They buy when the cycle is completing its upward swing and sell when the downward vibration is nearly over. To win, you must learn to measure time as carefully as you measure price. Study the past, not with nostalgia, but with precision. Mark the great turns. Count forward 60 years, and you will begin to see what others call coincidence, but what I call law. When you understand this, your entire relationship with the market changes. You will stop trying to predict and start trying to understand. You will stop reacting and start anticipating. And once you begin to trade in harmony with the law of time, you will find something even greater: peace of mind. Because the greatest profit is not only in dollars, but in mastery of self. When you master your impatience, when you learn to wait for the rhythm, you are already wealthier than 90% of traders. Now, I do not say this law is easy to master. It takes study, discipline, and faith in the unseen forces that govern all motion. You must record, compare, and test. You must watch how markets react near the anniversaries of past highs and lows. You must train your eyes to see time as a living factor on your charts. Once you do, you'll see the hidden geometry that binds price to time, the sacred balance that rules all trading. Do you recall how nature always restores balance? The tide that rises too far must fall. The market that climbs too fast must correct. It is all vibration, all frequency. The 60-year cycle is one of the grand frequencies that shape this endless pattern. And when you learn to tune yourself to it, you no longer fear the market. You move with it. You trade with the current, not against it. The great fortunes of the future will be built by those who understand the same eternal truths that governed the past. The market will change its surface, but not its structure. The 60-year cycle continues its march, unseen but unbroken, calling out to those with eyes to see and patience to study. The question is, are you listening to it? Because if you are not listening, the market will speak to you in another language: loss. Every trader who ignores time pays for it eventually. Prices may appear random to the untrained eye, but nothing happens by chance. There are causes behind every movement, just as there are tides behind every wave. The trouble is that most people do not care to look deep enough. They see a rise and think it's opportunity. They see a fall and think it's danger. But the wise student of cycles sees both as parts of a greater pattern. Let me tell you something from my own observation. When the 60-year rhythm approaches its turning point, everything begins to align. Politics, business, commodities, even human sentiment. It's as though the world breathes in unison. The tone of the newspapers, the confidence of investors, the policies of governments, all begin to echo the vibration of the cycle. That's when you must be watchful, when everything looks perfect, when the crowd believes the good times will never end. That's the very hour the vibration reverses. Have you noticed that? How peaks are born in comfort and bottoms in despair. I recall studying the old charts and noticing how cycles lined up with the very pulse of civilization. Around every 60 years, a great shift occurred, not just in prices, but in society itself. Inventions, wars, economic resets. These events do not happen by coincidence. They are the visible signs of invisible laws. The same universal rhythm that controls the planets controls the markets. The only difference is that few traders ever learn to measure it. But those who do, they hold the key to anticipation, not reaction. And that, my friend, is the foundation of true wealth. You cannot build lasting fortune by reacting to headlines or chasing what's already moved. The men who built great fortunes, the ones whose names lasted, were students of time. They bought when everyone else was afraid and sold when everyone else was bold. Why? Because they measured time. They understood where they stood on the great cycle. They did not fight against it. They flowed with it. Do you begin to see why the 60-year cycle matters so deeply? It's not merely a mathematical curiosity. It's the heartbeat of human progress and decline. Every boom in credit, every age of innovation, every crash and every depression fits within this grand rhythm. And yet, most traders act as if history began the day they opened their trading account. They ignore the past, and so they repeat it. I often said that time is the most valuable element in forecasting. Without it, price means little. You can draw all the lines and indicators you wish, but unless you know when the change is due, you are trading blind. A chart without time analysis is like a clock without hands. How can you tell the hour without them? You may not realize it, but every major turn in your own trading life, every success, every mistake, follows cycles too. The same discipline that rules the market rules the trader. If you study your habits long enough, you'll find your own personal rhythm of confidence and hesitation, of clarity and confusion. When you align your mental cycles with the market's natural rhythm, trading becomes effortless. That is what I mean when I say that to know the market, you must first know yourself. I used to sit for hours marking anniversaries on my charts, every 10, 20, 30, and especially 60 years from prior turning points. Then I would observe how the market reacted as those anniversaries approached. You'd be astonished how often the pattern reappeared, almost to the month or even the day. Sometimes the change would be subtle, other times it would shake the entire market structure. But it was there, always. When traders understand this, they stop fearing volatility. They realize that the market's movements are not chaos, they are music. Some hear only noise, others learn the melody. To hear it clearly, you must study deeply, you must be patient, and above all, you must respect time. That respect is the foundation of all profitable trading. Ask yourself, how often have you entered a trade too soon because you couldn't wait? How often have you exited too early because you feared a correction? Impatience is the great enemy of wealth. The 60-year cycle teaches patience in the grandest sense. It reminds us that everything comes in its appointed season. You cannot force time. You can only align with it. Think of the farmer again. He doesn't plant today and expect a harvest tomorrow. He studies the soil, the seasons, the weather. He plants when the time is right, and he waits. Trading is no different. The market rewards those who act in harmony with its natural order. The 60-year rhythm is the farmer's almanac of finance. Study it, and you'll know when the seasons of prosperity and decline are due. And here's a truth that may surprise you. The cycle doesn't just affect prices. It affects people. It influences how we think, how we spend, how we invest. During the upward phase, optimism fills the air. People borrow, expand, take risks. During the downward phase, fear rules. They save, contract, hoard. This collective psychology feeds the very movements you see on the chart. The price merely reflects the invisible wave of emotion sweeping through society. Do you understand now why I always said that the market is nothing but human nature on display? The 60-year cycle is the clock by which that nature moves. Once you accept this truth, you'll stop asking when the market will change. You'll know when it's due. But remember, this knowledge alone is not enough. You must have discipline. You must have faith in your study when the crowd mocks you. You must act when others hesitate and wait when others rush. The rhythm will not reward the impatient. It rewards those who align with its vibration and trade with conviction born from understanding. In your own trading, begin to mark your charts from great past highs and lows. Add 60 years forward. Then, observe what unfolds as those dates approach. Watch the changes in sentiment, in price, in world affairs. Soon you'll see how perfectly the rhythm repeats. Once you've seen it, you'll never unsee it. You'll realize the market is not mystery. It's mathematics and human emotion combined under divine law. And as the next great turn approaches, as it always does, you'll be prepared. You'll no longer ask, why is this happening? You'll know because it must happen. The cycle demands it. And those who understand that law of time will always stand ready to profit, not merely in wealth, but in wisdom. Now, as we move deeper into this present era, the question becomes, where are we on that great 60-year wheel today? Are we near its crest or its valley? Are the vibrations signaling renewal or warning of reversal? That, my friend, is the question every serious trader must ask, not just once, but continually. For the wheel of time never stops turning, and each revolution brings both danger and opportunity. If you can locate yourself accurately on that wheel, you can trade with confidence even when others tremble. But if you lose sight of time, you'll be swept away by the tide of events, no matter how clever you think you are. When I look upon the present markets, I see the same signs that appeared near the turning points of the past. Excess confidence, speculative fever, the belief that this time it's different. It never is. The same vibration that brought past prosperity now hums at a higher pitch, warning those who listen that change is near. The crowd always laughs at such warnings, just as they laughed before every great reversal. Tell me, do you think the traders of 1929 believed a crash could come when stocks were soaring and fortunes were multiplying daily? Of course not. Yet time was already counting down. The 60-year cycle is merciless in that way. It never flatters human pride. It gives its signal quietly, long before the visible storm, to those who study time rather than emotion. That is why the wise trader always keeps his own counsel. He watches the chart, not the crowd. He measures, he waits, and he acts only when time and price meet in harmony. That meeting point, where the vibration of time strikes the vibration of price, is where the greatest profits are born. But to reach it, you must first understand that no movement, no trend, no mania can escape the rule of the cycle. Consider how this rhythm has moved through history. Every 60 years, the world seems to pause, reset, and begin again under new conditions. The power shifts, the markets rebalance. The values of men are tested. In one period, expansion and discovery rule. In the next, contraction and caution return. Yet beneath all this, the mathematics of vibration never change. That is why I say that to forecast the market is to forecast human destiny, for the two are bound by the same clock. You might wonder, how can such a vast cycle influence the trades we take each day? The answer lies in scale. The 60-year rhythm sets the tone, the great background vibration. Within it, shorter cycles of 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, even months and weeks, move like smaller wheels within the larger one. Each follows its parent law. The master trader understands how these harmonics interact, how short-term movements reflect the larger trend of time. When you trade with awareness of that structure, you stop gambling. You begin forecasting with reason and confidence. Think for a moment about what that means for wealth building. The ordinary man works for wages, blind to the cycle. When times are good, he spends. When times are hard, he saves too late. The trader who studies time does the opposite. He prepares while others celebrate, and he expands when others retreat. That's how true fortunes are made, not by luck, not by guesswork, but by being in rhythm with the universal law, that governs both prosperity and decline. I often told my students that trading is not only a science, but a spiritual discipline. You must learn to control yourself before you can control your capital. The 60-year cycle will test that self-mastery because it stretches beyond a single career, beyond one lifetime even. To grasp it fully, you must think generationally. Ask yourself, what were the markets doing 60 years ago? What kind of world existed then? How did people think, trade, build, and spend? Then look at today. You will begin to see the reflection. You'll see how history bends, but does not break. When you start mapping those correspondences, you'll understand why I said the future is simply a repetition of the past, expressed in a different form. Prices change, technology changes, but vibration remains constant. That vibration, repeating every 60 years, governs the rhythm of panic and prosperity. The trader who knows this law can stand calmly amid chaos, for he knows it is temporary. The wheel turns, always. But let me caution you, knowing the cycle is not enough. You must know how to use it. Many will hear of it, few will apply it. The mind of man loves simplicity, but resists discipline. It takes discipline to study old charts, to measure time, to wait patiently for confirmation. Yet that discipline is the very essence of trading mastery. Without it, even the greatest discovery is useless. Ask yourself again, where are we now? Look not only at prices, but at the spirit of the age. Do you feel that same restless optimism that precedes a major change? Do you sense the same expansion of credit, the same belief that the good times cannot end? Every cycle carries the seed of its own reversal. The higher the vibration rises, the sharper the adjustment when time demands balance. And when that adjustment comes, those who ignored time will call it unexpected. But those who understand the law will be waiting. They will not fear the decline, for they know it is simply the next movement in the eternal rhythm. They will buy when others sell, and sell when others buy, not by emotion, but by the mathematics of time. That, my friend, is what separates the professional trader from the crowd. In the next phase of this study, I will show you how to measure this 60-year vibration on your charts, how to find its harmonic echoes in shorter cycles, and how to align your trading plan with these natural laws. Because once you understand when to act, not just how, you will possess the most valuable weapon in the market, foresight. But before we go further, I ask you to think deeply. Are you ready to unlearn what the crowd believes and study the truth that time reveals? Are you ready to stop chasing the market and start measuring it? Because if you are, then you are prepared to see what very few traders ever discover: that the market itself is alive, governed by the same laws that move the planets, the seasons, and even the beating of your own heart. Everything in creation moves by vibration and proportion. Nothing stands still. Every rise must complete itself, and every fall must end in renewal. The 60-year cycle is simply one of the great pulses of this living mechanism. A rhythm so vast that most traders never notice it, yet it quietly shapes every trend they chase. When I first began my studies, I made a promise to myself. I would not rest until I discovered the true cause behind all price movements. I tested every theory, every chart, every pattern. And again, the answer led me back to time. The same intervals that measured the past measured the present. The same intervals that shaped the wheat market a century ago now move the stocks of today. Can you see how unchanging this law truly is? But here's the difficulty: most men do not believe in what they cannot see. They will follow every tip, every rumor, every modern indicator, yet they ignore the one element that governs them all. They think the market is new each day. They think a cycle of 60 years cannot possibly matter to their short trades. But they are wrong, my friend, because even the smallest movement on the intraday chart is a fragment of that grander rhythm. Time rules all, from the minute to the millennium. Let me give you something to ponder. If a trader knew in advance that the market was entering the final decade of its 60-year vibration, what would he do? Would he be reckless with his capital, chasing every move? Or would he prepare quietly, building cash, watching for the reversal that must come? The wise trader does not fight the inevitable. He positions himself before the turn, not after. He knows that when time fulfills itself, price must respond. Think back on every great market event, the booms, the crashes, the sudden changes in trend. All were preceded by time reaching its maturity. The energy of one era must exhaust itself before a new one can begin. That exhaustion is the law of vibration seeking balance. If you can identify that moment of exhaustion, you can trade with a precision few will ever achieve. Now, let me ask you something directly. What governs your own trading decisions today? Is it emotion or understanding? Do you react to what you see on the screen, or do you act according to what time has already foretold? This question separates the gambler from the professional. The gambler sees price only. The professional sees time and price together. That is the difference between hope and certainty. When I mapped the 60-year cycle on my long-term charts, I began to see its fingerprints everywhere. A great high here, a depression there. Always in rhythm, always in proportion. It was as if history were speaking in numbers, waiting for those who could read its language. And I tell you now, that language is available to anyone willing to study with patience and faith in natural law. As traders, we must learn humility before that law. The market will always humble the proud, but it rewards those who respect its order. Many times, I saw traders who believed their intellect or technology could outsmart the market. They were always punished, not because the market is cruel, but because it is exact. It follows its rhythm without emotion. To prosper, you must move in step with that rhythm. The 60-year cycle teaches not only market timing, but also the philosophy of wealth itself. Wealth must be built in harmony with time. Just as no farmer can harvest before the season, no trader can prosper before his time. You must sow knowledge and discipline long before the market rewards you. The crowd wants immediate results. The wise trader waits for the appointed hour. And here's a secret: few understand: wealth that comes before its time will not stay. Easy gains vanish because they are not anchored in understanding. But profits earned in rhythm with the cycle, those endure. They grow because they are supported by the same law that supports the turning of the earth. That is why studying time is not only practical, it is moral. It aligns you with the order of creation itself. Do you see how this changes your relationship with trading? You stop chasing the market. You stop fearing losses. You begin to see your trades as part of a larger picture, a cycle that repeats, teaches, and refines you. When the market rises, you thank time for the opportunity. When it falls, you thank time for the lesson. You become steady, calm, patient. And in that patience lies the seed of real wealth. But remember this: no cycle moves forever in one direction. Expansion leads to contraction. Optimism gives way to caution. And then, when the vibration has completed its course, the pendulum swings again. This is why the trader who understands time never despairs in decline, nor rejoices too loudly in advance. He sees beyond the surface to the symmetry beneath. He knows that both profit and loss are part of the same eternal motion. Now, as we stand in our own generation, 60 years removed from the great shifts of the past, the rhythm once again approaches fulfillment. The same vibration that shaped the mid-century market stirs today beneath our feet. Look around, can you not feel it? The changes in industry, the volatility in finance, the restlessness of nations, all are signs of time seeking its balance. The market, like a clock approaching the hour, begins to tick louder. The question is not if the cycle will complete. It always does. The question is whether you will recognize it in time. Will you act as the crowd does, blind to history, or will you act as the student of natural law, measuring, observing, preparing? The choice defines every trader's destiny. And as we move further into this great turning, we will uncover the methods, the exact measurements, ratios, and correspondences that reveal where we truly stand upon this 60-year wheel. Because to see that clearly is to hold the map of the market's future in your hands. But few will ever take the time to draw that map. Most will remain lost in the noise, chasing prices as they rise and fleeing as they fall, never realizing that the market was never their enemy. It was their teacher. It was trying through every fluctuation to show them the law of balance, the rhythm of time, the geometry of motion. But they were too hurried to listen. Do you see how silence and study become the trader's greatest allies? When you stop reacting and start observing, time begins to speak. You begin to see that each high and low is not random. It's a message. Every movement is a repetition of something that has happened before. The market is not chaos, it is coded rhythm. Those who say it cannot be forecast simply have not looked long enough. I remember the first time I truly grasped the 60-year cycle. It wasn't through theory. It was through quiet observation. I noticed how events aligned, how prices returned to the same vibration at precise intervals. It was then I understood. Price is nothing but time expressed in motion. Once you measure time, you measure the entire market. That realization changed everything. It removed fear. Because when you know time, you no longer guess, you wait. And waiting, my friend, is the art most traders never master. They think the market exists to provide constant excitement. But trading is not a game of thrills. It is a science of timing. The 60-year rhythm doesn't reward the restless. It rewards the ready. To be ready, you must be still when others are frantic, alert when others are blind. Can you do that? Can you stand against the crowd when your knowledge tells you the hour is near? That is the test of all who follow natural law. If you doubt the power of this cycle, look again at the great epochs of finance. Every 60 years, a transformation occurs. The instruments may change, from railroads to radio, from oil to internet, but the vibration remains identical. In each case, optimism grows to excess, credit expands, speculation runs wild, and then, almost on cue, the vibration turns downward. Confidence gives way to contraction, and a new era begins. This rhythm is as certain as the sunrise. It is not prediction. It is recognition. To the untrained eye, such foresight looks like magic. But there is no magic in markets, only mathematics and discipline. Every price swing, every crash, every recovery unfolds according to measure. I learned long ago that when the time factor aligns with price proportion, the market must change direction. It cannot do otherwise. That is the law of vibration. And yet, most traders never measure time. They think a chart ends at its right edge. They never project forward. They never ask, when will this move complete? But you must. Because without that question, you have no compass. Time is the compass of the trader. It points you toward balance, toward the moment of opportunity. Ignore it, and you drift endlessly through uncertainty. There is something almost sacred about studying time. It demands humility, patience, and faith. It teaches you that wealth does not come through struggle, but through harmony. When you are in tune with the cycle, you do not need to force trades. The trades find you. The market begins to flow toward you because you are vibrating on the same frequency as its rhythm. You become part of the law, not a victim of it. And this, too, is why the 60-year cycle is more than a trading tool. It is a philosophy of life. Just as the market expands and contracts, so does every man's fortune, every nation's power, every generation's ambition. Those who study these rhythms gain perspective. They learn not to despair in loss, nor grow arrogant in gain. They understand that both are temporary expressions of an eternal balance. That understanding is the true foundation of wealth. Have you ever noticed how the market punishes extremes? When greed rules, it humbles. When fear rules, it rewards. That's the law at work. Restoring equilibrium. The 60-year rhythm, the longest breath of that balance. The great inhaling and exhaling of collective human energy. To trade well, you must breathe with it, not against it. So when you next open your chart, do not ask merely, where is price going? Ask instead, where am I in time? Because price tells you where the market is, but time tells you where it will be. That distinction separates those who guess from those who know. And once you know, you no longer fear the unknown. It becomes your guide. I often told my students, if you could see time on your chart as clearly as price, you would never again trade blindly. You would wait for the harmony, the intersection of time and price, where all true change begins. That point is not luck. It is the product of natural geometry, repeating across centuries. And the 60-year cycle is the grand measure by which those intersections align. Now, as we stand at another such junction, the signs are unmistakable for those who know what to watch. The vibration grows tense. The markets expand beyond proportion. The public believes in endless growth. Yet behind the scenes, time ticks on, steady, unyielding, impartial. It does not care for sentiment or optimism. When the vibration reaches its limit, it will turn, as it always has. The trader who understands this will not be surprised. He will not cry that the market is unfair or unpredictable. He will quietly take his profits, protect his capital, and wait for the next opportunity. That is how wealth endures, not by chance, but by obedience to the rhythm of time. And soon, we will trace that rhythm together, marking its peaks, its troughs, its precise correspondences across history, to see how every modern price movement is but an echo of one that came before. For once you see that symmetry clearly, you will never again look at the market the same way. And when that realization strikes you, when you finally see the market as a living rhythm instead of a chaotic contest, you will begin to trade with purpose, not emotion. You'll stop asking, what should I buy? And begin asking, what is time telling me to do? That shift in thinking is the doorway from confusion to clarity, from gambling to mastery. Every trader wants certainty, but few understand that certainty comes only from knowledge of cycles. The 60-year rhythm gives you that knowledge if you are patient enough to study it. It shows you when expansion has run its course and when contraction is due. It whispers, not in words but in symmetry, that history is preparing to repeat itself. Are you listening for that whisper, or are you still chasing noise? Let me tell you something that few ever grasp. Every price chart is a reflection of human behavior, repeating itself across generations. What your eye sees as a line rising and falling is really emotion, greed and fear unfolding in time. Once you recognize that, you stop trading against emotion and start measuring it. That's what I mean when I say the market moves by mathematics. It's not cold numbers. It's human energy expressed through price and time. Think of how every generation forgets the lessons of the last. The traders of today believe that technology and new systems have conquered risk. But didn't the traders of 1928 believe the same? Didn't the investors of 1869 or 1906? Each believed their era was unique, that the rules had changed. And yet, the law of vibration waited patiently and repeated its correction right on schedule. The 60-year rhythm is not bound by invention. It is bound by human nature. You must study that nature as carefully as you study your charts. Because if you know how men think, you will know how markets move. When confidence becomes arrogance, when prudence becomes speculation, when caution becomes fear, you can mark those turning points on your time chart. They always appear at the same intervals. because the cycle governs not only prices, but the collective psychology behind them. And this is the grand secret. Once you measure human behavior through time, you can forecast its reflection in price. That is the essence of the 60-year law. It is not superstition. It is observation, measured and proven through centuries of market data. Every wave of optimism, every panic, every era of rebuilding falls within its pattern. But I warn you, this knowledge brings responsibility. The market will always test your discipline. It will tempt you to act before the cycle confirms. It will whisper that maybe this time is different. When that happens, remember, time never lies. Price can fake a breakout, news can stir emotion, but time reveals truth. You must have the courage to trust it, even when the crowd mocks you. I recall the panic years when everyone around me believed the market was finished. The air was thick with despair. But my studies of time told me a reversal was near. I held steady, and sure enough, when the vibration completed its course, the market turned, as it always had. That is the quiet strength of knowing where you stand in time. When you reach that point of confidence, your trading becomes almost effortless. You no longer chase trades, you wait for them to mature. You no longer measure success by daily profit, but by your alignment with the great rhythm. That alignment produces wealth naturally, because you are no longer resisting the current. You are moving with it. And remember this, the 60-year cycle doesn't just predict market turns. It predicts shifts in values. Every great economic cycle reflects a moral one. Prosperity leads to excess, excess to decline, and decline back to discipline. The market cleanses itself just as nature renews itself. Each generation must relearn the value of patience, study, and respect for law. The trader who understands this sees opportunity not in chaos, but in the correction of imbalance. Have you noticed how, near the top of every great cycle, people begin to believe they've outsmarted the market? They say, old rules no longer apply. They mock those who speak of history or caution. That arrogance is the vibration reaching its crest. It's the same rhythm that echoed before every great collapse in history. The wise trader doesn't argue. He observes. He prepares. Because he knows time always fulfills itself, regardless of belief. If you would become that wise trader, begin by building your chart of time. Take the great turning points of the past, major highs, major lows, and count 60 years forward. Watch how the market reacts near those anniversaries. Study not just price, but global events, commodities, currencies, and sentiment. You'll see how the vibration ripples across every field of human activity. Once you see it clearly, you will never again doubt the power of time. And when you do, something remarkable happens. You begin to think in decades, not days. You begin to trade with patience and foresight. You stop needing constant action because you understand that the big moves come from the big cycles. Wealth, real lasting wealth, comes not from many trades, but from a few trades made at the right time. But this understanding is not given freely. It must be earned through observation, discipline, and faith in natural law. Many will study the charts but never see. They will calculate but never understand. Because they are searching for profit, not truth. Seek truth first, and profit will follow. And so, as the great 60-year wheel turns once more, I ask you, can you feel the vibration? Can you sense the rhythm building, as it has so many times before? The signs are there for those who watch. The cycle is nearing its next fulfillment. Soon, the same law that shaped every past era will once again reveal itself through price and time. When it does, those who have studied will recognize it instantly. They will not be surprised. They will be ready. They will stand where history meets the present and act with calm certainty, while the unprepared crowd calls it unexpected. Because to those who know the law, nothing is unexpected. Everything unfolds right on schedule. just as it always has and always will. For the man who studies time and respects its order, the market becomes a friend, not an enemy. He no longer blames the world for his losses or luck for his gains. He knows that both are born of his alignment, or misalignment, with natural law. When he trades in harmony with time, even small movements bring success. When he fights the rhythm, even great trends bring ruin. The difference is not in knowledge alone, but in understanding the spirit behind the market's motion. I have said before, there is no such thing as chance. Every movement of price, every wave of optimism or despair, every boom and every collapse follows a definite mathematical sequence. The crowd may call it fate, but the wise call it time. And those who understand time have mastered the key that unlocks all market mysteries. You must decide whether you will join the crowd or rise above it. The crowd lives in the present. They react, they fear, they hope. The wise live in the future. They observe, they calculate, they prepare. When the next 60-year vibration completes its course, the crowd will see only confusion. But you, if you have learned, will see order in the storm. You will know that what seems new is merely the past returning in different clothes. There is no greater satisfaction than standing calm while others panic, because you know the law. You will remember that time is never wrong. Men are wrong, emotions are wrong, but the law of vibration, the cycle of time, remains constant, unchanged by the opinions of men or the inventions of the age. So I say to you, learn to trust the cycle. Study the past, not to worship it, but to recognize it when it comes again. Mark the great years, count forward and backward in time. Watch the rhythm of 60 years unfold through the markets, through nations, through the hearts of men. Then, when the present begins to echo the past, you will not be caught unaware. Perhaps now you begin to see that wealth is not created by chance, but by understanding. The trader who seeks quick profit will always chase shadows. But the trader who studies time builds wealth upon foundation, not fantasy. His fortune grows quietly, steadily, because it grows with the natural current of events. Ask yourself, do you wish to follow the crowd? Or do you wish to stand where few ever stand, at the turning point of time itself? The choice is yours. The market will not wait, but time will always give warning to those who observe. Remember, cycles do not end, they only renew. The 60-year rhythm now approaches another fulfillment. What form it will take, prosperity or panic, depends not on luck, but on where you stand in the pattern. The wise are preparing, the careless are dreaming, and when the wheel completes its turn, when history once again rises to meet the present, those who have studied will see what others cannot. They will act with calm conviction, not fear, because they will know that the hidden law which ruled 1860, 1920, and 1980 still rules today, and will rule long after we are gone. Yes, my friend, the great cycle continues unbroken, unwavering, eternal. The markets may change, men may change, but time never changes. And those who walk in step with time, those who understand its secret rhythm, will always find themselves on the right side of the market and on the right side of destiny.